Okay folks, welcome back to Glasgow News. We're once again at the Glasgow Daily Record online page. The article for this story will be in the description as usual. It's an article by Gail Shortland. Now this is quite a story. As you can see, it goes on for quite a bit, so you'll need to bear with me. Look at that face there. He pops up soon. So here we go, right. So, daughter who was forced to be ill escapes life of abuse by killing her mum. Everyone worried about poor Gypsy Rose Blanchard, but for all the wrong reasons. So there you go. That's the mum there on the right hand side. And that's the wee lassie. Okay. A wee puppy. Okay, it was a huge relief to anyone who met Gypsy Rose Blanchard that she had such a devoted mum who never left her side. That's her there, Gypsy. Young Gypsy had a whole host of health problems. She was always in a wheelchair, rarely left the house without oxygen and a feeding tube, and her learning difficulties left her years behind her peers. Her mum Dee Dee ferried her to hospital appointments and cared for all her needs. In fact, Dee Dee would always hold her daughter's hand whenever they went out, like they were two inseparable best friends. Clauddine Dee Dee Blanchard was a single mum and had always made her daughter her #1 priority. At 3 months, she took Gypsy to the hospital after she'd noticed she was having breathing problems. Gypsy was diagnosed with sleep apnea and sent home with breathing apparatus. Still, Dee Dee wasn't happy. She told her family she was convinced there was something else wrong and was determined to get answers. When Gypsy was 7, Dee Dee told friends and family that she had a chromosomal disorder. It didn't have a name, but it meant Gypsy would need a wheelchair and she wouldn't develop like other children. There's the wee lassie there. Young Gypsy in a wheelchair. Dee Dee's family wanted to help, but she made the unusual decision to move away to Louisiana and distance herself. There, Gypsy's health problems continued. When her weight dropped too low, she was given a feeding tube, and severe asthma meant she needed oxygen. When Dee Dee told doctors Gypsy was having epileptic seizures, she was given drugs to control them. Sadly, it caused her teeth to crumble and fall out. My God. Dee Dee then explained to people that muscular dystrophy was keeping Gypsy in a wheelchair and her learning difficulties required her to be homeschooled. Even when she became a teenager, Dee Dee told people Gypsy had the mental capacity of a 7-year-old. Just when everyone thought they'd been through enough, Dee Dee shared the sad news that Gypsy had leukemia. With no teeth, huge prescription glasses, the telltale bald head from chemotherapy and a childlike voice, it was hard not to feel sorry for little Gypsy. And there she's there, dressed as Cinderella or something. When Dee Dee and Gypsy had to move to Springfield, Missouri after Hurricane Katrina destroyed their home, a local charity built them a new house with ramps for Gypsy's wheelchair. It even had a hot tub. Fuck, I've not got a hot tub. Dee Dee was Gypsy's full-time carer, so couldn't work. Other charities donated money to help with bills and even sent the pair on trips to Disney World. No one was sure what the future held for Gypsy, but something was horribly wrong in the Blanchard home. Dee Dee was hiding a secret. Gypsy wasn't a teenager with a mental age of 7. She was in fact 23 and there was nothing wrong with her. What? All the health problems were a twisted lie constructed by Dee Dee. Gypsy could walk just fine and could eat if her mum would just let her. She had no learning difficulties either. Experts believe Dee Dee had Munchausen by proxy, a mental disorder, definitely mental, where someone fabricates or exaggerates the illness of the subject of their care in order to get sympathy or attention. This was an extreme case. I could say that again. Gypsy had been taking medicine she didn't need. She'd been subjected to unnecessary medical procedures and surgeries, including the removal of her saliva glands to control her non-existent drooling. Right. Dee Dee had regularly shaved her daughter's head and made her wear wigs or hats to mimic the look of a cancer patient. The wheelchair, oxygen tank and feeding tube were also not needed. And the reason Dee Dee was always holding Gypsy's hand, so she could squeeze it hard when she suspected Gypsy was going to spill their secret. And there is Gypsy in a prison picture. So you can kind of guess something's going to happen here. And that's the actual girl there. So let's see what happens next. When Gypsy was younger, it was easy to control her. She had her teens and all that, etc. So, and getting a bit older. She was banned from speaking at doctor's appointments, and Dee Dee talked down any suspicious medical staff. But now Gypsy was older, Dee Dee used violence to keep her quiet. Once when Gypsy tried to run away, her mum chained her to the bed for 2 weeks. My God. When she tried to tell someone she wasn't ill, Dee Dee blamed her confusion on mental problems. Gypsy didn't give up in her attempts to live a normal life. She loved all things Disney and longed for her very own fairy tale romance. That's a little bit in it. In 2013, she joined a Christian dating website, started talking to Nicholas Gojohn, 23, from Wisconsin. Nicholas had a criminal record, here we go, for indecent exposure, oh my God, and a history of mental illness. Oh, goodness. But once he told Gypsy he wasn't daunted by the fact that she was in a wheelchair, she was smitten. I could understand why he would say that, a degenerate. Gypsy said her mum was overprotective, so they chatted in private using secret Facebook accounts. Let's get a quick look at Nick. Holy fuck, man. Right, okay. When Nicholas said he wanted to meet her in person, Gypsy knew she'd have to confess if they were going to have a future. Nicholas should be the first person she'd confide in. She told him that all her health problems had been made up by Dee Dee, her mother. In early 2015, they met for the first time. Dee Dee was 48. Dee Dee, 48, was taking Gypsy to the local cinema to see Cinderella. Nicholas went too, so they could pretend to strike up a friendship. Gypsy was dressed as Cinderella, and Nicholas was in a Prince Charming outfit. The pair managed to sneak into the bathroom and have sex. Holy Toledo. Sex on a first date? Whatever next. When Dee Dee later found out that Gypsy was in touch with Nick, she was furious. She smashed up her computer and banned the relationship. Gypsy realised she would never have a normal life. She was sure if she went to the police they wouldn't believe her, so she came up with another plan. A dastardly plan, wasn't it, Gypsy? And it must involve the bold Nick. We can see what's coming, can't we, folks? Yeah? She managed to stay in contact with Nicholas and asked if he would kill Dee Dee for her. Nick agreed, and they talked about it and what they'd do and called it Plan B. Dead original, aren't they? And they probably did this by text or emails, you know. And we all know that that's all captured by the NSA. But that's another subject I'll get on to another day. On June 12, 2015, Nicholas came to the Blanchard home when Dee Dee was asleep and Gypsy let him in. After handing him gloves and a large serrated knife, she hid in the bathroom while Nicholas stabbed Dee Dee 17 times in her pink bedroom. Once dead, he covered her with a duvet and went to Gypsy's bedroom where they had sex. Well, of course, that's what you would do, isn't it? If you murdered your mother. The pair fled to Wisconsin. Gypsy worried that her mum's body wouldn't be discovered and it would decompose, so they posted an update on Facebook page that Gypsy and Dee Dee shared that would make people visit the house. "The bitch is dead," they wrote, then followed it with a longer comment suggesting that whoever had killed Dee Dee had also raped Gypsy. Well, technically that's true. On 14th of June, officers found Dee Dee's body and announced that vulnerable Gypsy was missing. Without her wheelchair, oxygen feeding tube or her mother's medical care, the community feared for her safety. So let's just skip right down a wee bit here. They were eventually traced via the Facebook posting. At first, Gypsy said she had nothing to do with the murder, and police wondered whether Nick had taken advantage of a mentally impaired Gypsy, but then the truth unravelled. Gypsy told them what her mum had done since she was a baby, and that she was a victim of child abuse, and that Nick had agreed to Plan B to help her escape. Nick confirmed the story. When news spread about Dee Dee had done, sympathy swung in Gypsy's favour. Despite the fact she'd been party to the murder, it seemed unthinkable that a mother would do that to her daughter. In 2016, Gypsy took a plea deal. She received 10 years for second-degree murder. There was sympathy for what she'd done, but the killing was also carefully planned, which couldn't be ignored. Behind bars, Gypsy thrived, with her hair growing and her weight returning to normal. Medics gave her a clean bill of health. I wonder if she's got teeth. In November this year, she testified at Nick's trial. She talked about how desperate she'd been to be free, but how terrified she was of Dee Dee, meaning she couldn't go to the authorities. The defence suggested that Nick had struggled with mental illness, including autism, and had been manipulated by Gypsy to commit the murder. But in the end, the jury agreed that Nick was guilty of first-degree murder. Too right he is. He faces life in prison with a chance of parole when he is sentenced in February. Well, what a story, folks, eh? That's went on for 12 minutes. That's going to be one of the longest videos I've done. So I'll not keep these any longer, but my God, imagine somebody doing that to their wee girl. It's just absolutely heartbreaking. And what it led to, you know, she's sitting in jail. She met this guy, you know, it was always going to end bad, wasn't it? Holy Toledo. Anyway, folks, that's all for now. Peace out.